Welcome to the second video lesson of lesson number 1 from a fresh approach for the beginning percussion class. In this video lesson, we're just going to cover the basics of music notation. I'm going to teach you all of the fundamentals that are at the bottom of page number 24 on the first page of lesson 1. Then we're going to pick up our pencil and we're going to do some little pencil games. We're going to fill in the blanks. We're going to draw some different notes and things like that, just so that you can get it concrete in your head. I'm sitting down. I don't need my sticks. I don't need my practice pad. I'm going to do this on my iPad so that I can record it and you can do it along with me. But you will need a pencil and you will need your book for this video. And if you do all of this, then you'll have it completed. All right, looking at the bottom of page 24, you're going to see that we have our notation basics. At the very beginning, there is a clef sign. A clef is what tells us what the notes on the staff means. So there's different kinds of clef signs. We have what we call a treble clef. A treble clef is for higher pitched instruments, also called a G clef. So flute, oboe, clarinet, bells, xylophone, marimba, the top part of the marimba, all use the treble clef. The bass clef, which you will learn later in the book, in book number 2, is for low-pitched instruments. Timpani, we play the bottom end of the marimba in the bass clef. You'll see tuba players or trombone players or bottom end of the piano will use the bass clef. Now, most percussion instruments are non-pitched, so we don't really use the staff to have very specific pitched notes. So we use a non-pitched neutral clef. Basically tells you when you see that at the beginning of a piece of music for percussion, don't worry about naming the notes. Don't worry about this is every good boy does fine. It doesn't work like that at all. It's just a neutral clef. We can put notes all over the staff. So percussion notes will be in different places based off of whatever the music calls for. At the very beginning, after the clef, music will have a time signature. A time signature basically tells us two things. The top number of a time signature, it's kind of a fraction. The top number tells us how many counts are in a measure. And I'll get to a measure in a second. How many counts? So I could have 4/4 time, I could have 5/4 time, I could have 2/4 time. All kinds of different numbers at the top tell you how many beats, how many counts I'm going to count to. If I'm in 4/4, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. If I'm in 5/4, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I'm in 3/4, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Top number just gives us that number of counts. The bottom number tells us what kind of note receives one beat. So a 4 on the bottom is like 1/4. So if you think of a dollar, a whole dollar, if I cut that into 4 parts, I would have quarters, okay? 4 parts of a dollar are quarters. So we'll do this in a minute, we have quarter notes. So a 4 on the bottom tells you that the time signature is going to beat time to the quarter note. There's all kinds of other notes. I can have 4/8 time. I can have 5/16 time. Different time signatures have different numbers on top and the bottom. For now, we're only dealing with quarter time. A staff is the 5 lines that we use for writing music. Now, like I said before, a percussion staff, a lot of times you'll see us use 5 lines, but sometimes you'll see 2 lines. Sometimes you might see 1 line. It doesn't really matter because the notes are not pitched and we're not doing very specific notes on the staff. But we do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines with the musical staff. A staff can be divided into measures with a bar line. A bar line is that line that goes up and down on the staff. A measure is the space between two bar lines. So this is a measure here. Now that I added a bar line, that would be a measure. This is a measure. So measures basically group the notes together into units. So the bar lines, depending on the time signature, if there's 4 beats in a measure and a quarter note received 1 beat, every 4 quarter notes would be 1 measure. Usually at the end of a piece of music, there is a final bar line. It's the thin and thick line that tells us, hey, you've gotten to the end, so you can quit while you're ahead, or quit now. So sometimes we'll see music that it'll go and there's no double bar line or no final bar line at the end, so that means we just keep going. We go to the next line without stopping. So all of those notation basics, if you turn the page, the snare lesson 1B on page number 26, we're going to learn how to draw and learn about quarter notes, quarter rests, and a little bit more about time signatures. So this is where you need your pencil. So a quarter note has a note head. Make sure I got that right. Quarter note has the note head, which is the dot, okay, and a stem. The stem is the line that connects to the note head. So on number 1, what we're going to do is draw some stems. Now stems can go up or down depending on where they fit on the musical staff. So on number 1, all I'm going to do is draw a stem that goes up. Whenever we draw a stem that goes up, it attaches to the right side of the note head. So you'll go draw that stem going up. I like to go from the top down. It's pretty easy. If the stem goes down, which in percussion music, sometimes the snare part will be on one line with the stem going up, and the bass drum part will be on the bottom of the staff with the stem going down. You'll see this. So the stem attaches to the left side of the note head and goes down. So let's draw 4 quarter notes. First thing we want to do is we want to fill in the note head and draw the stem. All right, these 2 are pretty easy because it's kind of there for you, but make sure you color in the note head and draw the stem. Now, draw a couple of more note heads. Let's go up. So remember, stem attaches to the right side of the note head. And then if I draw a quarter note or a note head and I want it to go down, it's got to be on the left side of the note head. So what you don't want is where it's backwards, and you see this on coffee cups and people who design things and they're just doing it artistically and they don't really know anything about music. You might see a note like this where they put it on the wrong side of the note head, and it just, to a musician who knows better, that just looks dumb. Okay, so going on, a quarter rest looks similar to a Z, but with a tail. So I'm just going to add a little tail to it. So if I think of just making a Z here and then adding a little tail, that would be a quarter rest. Obviously, notes are the places where we're going to play, and rests are the places where we do not play. Okay, but you need to know how a quarter rest looks. So let's draw 4 quarter rests. The first 2, I just want you to trace these. So I make my Z, and then I add my tail to it. Kind of a sideways Z, I should say. Then I add my tail. So sideways Z with a tail. That's pretty close. Okay, the biggest thing is to get used to what the quarter rest looks like. Now, a quarter rest, if you know anything about music, we're going to have half notes and whole notes and eighth notes and 16th notes and all kinds of different types of notes. They all have corresponding rests that look different from each other. So knowing that the quarter rest basically is that squiggly line, when you start writing music on your own, you'll be able to draw quarter rests. All right, so time signatures. We covered this a little bit in the previous page, but let's go into a couple of exercises just to get it concrete into your mind. A time signature, the top number tells us how many beats are in a measure. The bottom number tells you what kind of note receives one beat. So in this time signature, there's a 4 on the top. That means there are 4 beats in each measure. Okay? Remember, a 3 on the top would be 3 beats in a measure. A 2 on the top would be 2 beats in each measure. The bottom number tells us what kind of note gets 1 beat. And remember, a 4 on the bottom is 1/4 of a whole. So if I cut a pie into 4 parts, I would have a quarter. So the quarter note receives 1 beat. All right? If I had a pie and I cut it in half and there was a 2 on the bottom, 1/2 would be a half note receives 1 beat. And if I cut it into eighths, the eighth note would receive 1 beat. So all of that stuff we'll get to later. All right, fill in the blanks to define these time signatures. On number 3, this time signature, there are 3 beats in each measure. Okay, you got to remember the bar lines separate the quarter notes and quarter rests into measures. So in 3/4 time, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 bar line, 1, 2, 3 bar line. The space in between those bar lines are called measures. So 3 beats in each measure, and the, guess what? Quarter note receives 1 beat. Or sometimes we call it, we're beating time to the quarter. All right, so that means if I'm counting here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Every time I click my fingers together, I snap my fingers, those are quarter notes. So in music, you would see quarter notes going by. All right, number 4, it's basically blank. You're just kind of copying this out. There are 2 beats in a measure, in each measure, whichever you want to say. And then for the quarter note, receive 1 beat. Okay, so it really is pretty simple. All I'm doing is copying it, but for some reason, when you take your pencil and you write this out, it just solidifies in your head and you will always have it and you'll never forget it from then on. So really encourage you to write these things in there. All right, now we're going to learn how to count notes and rest in quarter time. So when counting a quarter note or quarter rest, the first note in a measure will always be count 1. We never go 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 1, 2. We don't ever do that. We always, every time you pass a bar line, you start over on 1. All right? So in this exercise, you're going to write the counts in under the notes and in the rest. Okay? This is very, very simple because I have these little parentheses for you for the rest. So 1, 2, 3. All right? That's pretty simple. This has 2 beats, so I just go 1, 2. This one has 5 beats, so I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, what I like to do sometimes, especially later on, is whenever you have a rest, I like to put the numbers of the rest above the rest. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That way it kind of gets it out of the way so you can see what count the quarter note is on without having all this extra stuff in there. So line number 6. This entire line is in 4/4 time. 4 beats to a measure. Quarter note receives 1 beat. So I'm going to count to 4. So all I'm doing here is just going 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. But on my rest, I want to put those in parentheses. Okay, so every time I have a rest, I do a parentheses. Or what I like to do is actually just write the numbers above the rest. 1, 2, 3, 4. I play on 1, 2. I rest on 3, 4. I play on 1. I rest on 2. Play on 3. Rest on 4. That way, the only numbers that are below the notes are the ones that I actually play. So we're going to count and clap this line. Basically, every time I have a quarter note, I'm going to clap. And anytime I have a quarter rest, I'm just going to have my hands apart and I'm going to say rest. So I'm thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, rest, 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 rest. And then in the third measure, 1, 2, rest, rest. And then the last measure, 1, rest, 3, rest. So let's try this whole line. I want you to clap and count with me, just so you have quarter notes and quarter rest in your head before we move on to the next lesson. Here we go. Do it with me, clapping and counting this line. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right? So if you understand that all of the things that we've just learned, that we got clefs, all right? Not really a big deal to a percussionist, but is a big deal to a keyboard player, which you'll learn when you do the marimba video or the keyboard video. We have time signatures. Top number of a time signature tells you how many notes or how many counts are in a measure. Bottom number in a time signature tells you what kind of note receives one beat. Quarter notes are notes that we play. Quarter rests are notes that we don't play. Those notes or rests are separated into measures with bar lines. And then when we get to the end of a piece of music, there is a double bar line. If you think you have all of that in your head, then you're ready to move on to lesson number 2. But make sure that you have spent time practicing your rebound strokes, getting that 8 on a hand exercise, getting the single alternating strokes exercise or single stroke roll rudiment perfect, doing your double strokes or double stroke roll rudiment perfect, playing along with the daily warm-up exercise video over the course of a couple of days. If you think you've got that and you understand all of this music, I'll see you in lesson number 2.